All right, this is something I've always wanted to do with Studio One. So there is a reason why I called this a MIDI tempo map, but I'll get into that a little bit later in the video. But what we're going to do is we're going to take an old song, or in this case, it is a newer song, but it was recorded old style. And by old style, I mean no click track, no quantizing. This is just a man and his guitar. This is my good friend Tom Sanphilip. He just finished his album here. And this is one of the songs that he did.
10,000,000 miles of heartache, 10,000 words that never come.
Alright, so as of this date, the album isn't released just yet, but as soon as it is, I'll make sure to post a link for everybody. Alright, so this song has a number of tempo changes, and I want to be able to create a tempo map in Studio One. I want Studio One to follow its tempo changes and the natural sound of its progression, but I want Studio One to change with it, so I can just add loops to it without having to do a bunch of quantizing and lining up and things like that. So, with this particular song, we're going to verify a couple of things. The first one is, step one is going to be to make sure that the song lines up at 1. Bam, just like that. So at the beginning of the song, if I double click on stop, it starts right there. This is important for this to work. Beautiful. All right, so we have that all set. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that there is no file tempo in this particular file. We can confirm that by doing in two ways. We can look down here, click on the file, and actually open up the inspector. Click on the eye up here, and look here at the file tempo, and you can see that it is not set. This can also be confirmed by right-clicking and looking here, file tempo not set. So perfect. Don't worry about the speed up or the other options here. Just make sure that the file tempo is not set. All right, perfect. So now I want to create a tempo out of this particular performance. Really, really simple, and I love doing this. All right, we're going to go to the mixer, make sure that we're on the short mixer. We're going to do something that I like to do. Right-click and say Edit with Melodyne. And it opens it up, and Melodyne detects the song, including its tempo. So now, Melodyne thinks that this is actually being played at 164, which I think is twice what it really is. But let's go ahead and follow Melodyne's example here, and just go ahead and do the 164. So now I'm going to click on this area here, and I'm going to say confirm the BPM. So if I go back here and I say confirm the BPM, you can see that Melodyne snaps it to the grid in Studio One. So now in order to actually bring in the tempo changes to the Studio One grid, all I have to do is drag this up into the track and go bam. So you can see here that everything lined up with the tempo changes. So let's see how accurate it is. Let's go ahead and turn on the tempo track. You can sense that the click is a little bit ahead, but there's a way to fix that, and I'll show you guys in a minute. There we go. So it's pretty good. Let's see if it senses this drop.
10,000,000 miles of heartache.
Okay, you can feel a little bit of sloppiness there, slowing up and down. And besides, I think that 164 is too fast. I'd like to see it at half that, so how could I do that? So I'm going to do undo. I'm going to do undo again. I'm going to do undo again until Melodyne disappears. So now there is a cool way to do this. We're going to just click on the WAV file and make sure that our file tempo didn't change. It still says not set, still says not set. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say Edit with Melodyne. So there we go. Now it detected it again, and you can see that it did the same thing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an option in Melodyne. If I click on the little bar right here, let's zoom in again, and I'm going to say multiply by. So if I go here, I can cut that in half. So yeah, I think that the tempo here is about 85 or so. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on that, and you can see that Melodyne adjusts it to half of what it originally adjusted it at. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to drag the Melodyne information up to the tempo track, and boom, there we go. This looks a little bit more reasonable. So now, since the click track is still on, let's see how close we are. There we go. That's much better. But it is still a little bit ahead. I think it's accurate, but still ahead. So how do we fix that? Real easy. We're going to go right here to the delay option. Let me zoom in again. So here's the delay, and I'm going to type in minus 30. And the only reason I'm using minus 30 is because I tested this before doing the video. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter. So now the original track is going to play a little bit sooner. So watch how now it lines up. Much better. All right, so let's listen to it a little bit. Make sure it stays on time. We'll really be able to see with the vocal.
10 million miles of heartache.
All right, I really do like this. So the other thing that we can do is go to the end of the song, make sure it's still lined up.
It's meant to suffer. If we could only see.
Okay, so what have we accomplished here? We've actually made Studio One follow the natural tempo of this song. So what can we do with this? This is the fun part. So now I can go to my loop library, or I can go to the music loop library for Studio One loops. I can do whatever I want, and I can go ahead and pick a loop. Okay, so its natural tempo is this. Okay, so let's go ahead and drag this in. I don't think this is the appropriate loop for this, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to drag that in at the 1, and we're just going to go ahead and copy this guy here. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to hit the D key, D, 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 all the way I could hold it down too, and it'll actually go. But, so, how does our loop line up with our original track? Pretty darn good, wouldn't you say? Yeah, I get excited about this. That is cool. Let's hear what it sounds like with the vocal.
10 million miles of heartache. 10,000 words that never come.
Almost
Left you
perfect.
sad and then so lonely.
I mean, to me, it's perfect. But some people might sense some of the dragging, but that's fine. You can fix all of that by using the delay for the new loop setting if you have to shift it a little bit. But otherwise, the loops, since the loops have tempo data, you see that this loop's original tempo was 90. 90.90 actually, and you can see that it automatically lines up to the new tempo track created by the original song that we dragged in here. No drums, no percussion, no nothing. Melodyne sensed how Tom played it, and we have it perfectly lined up. So, what else can we do with this? Now, do you want to do the reverse? What if we wanted to actually have this song follow Studio One's tempo? So everything that we just did to get this far, you need to do. But one of the things that we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and remove this track. All right, so now I want this song to be at a perfect tempo. Well, since you click on this track and you look at the tempo and it says map, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that before. You got map in there, so that means that this song is going to follow whatever I change the tempo to. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go through all of the tempo changes, and I'm going to hit the delete key Boom. There we go. So now, what is Tom's song going to sound like at 120? Yup. So we know that the song was somewhere around 84 or 85. So I'm going to go down here into the tempo right here. Right here. And I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say 85. Perfect. Now, okay, so now it's playing at its natural tempo. But it is playing at a constant tempo. So now the song is going to play exactly along with the click at Studio One's tempo instead of Studio One playing to the song's tempo. Notice that the tempo data here still says map. So what I just did is I showed you how to fix a song to play at a fixed tempo, as well as how to make Studio One play to a song's varying tempo. It is extremely cool to be able to do stuff like this. This could bring a whole new life to a lot of people's older songs where it was just him and the guitar. Or this is a great way to create a scratch track. You just go ahead and you record a song into your phone, bring that song into Studio One, do the tempo information or the tempo mapping the way I showed you, and you can start adding tracks to that. Once you have all the tracks added, you can redo or even use the original audio and move on from there. So I don't know what you guys thought about this. Please leave a comment in the comments area or just go ahead and do it. It is so much fun to take and bring new life to older tracks. So my name is Johnny Gibe, and this is the beginner series for Studio One. This is maybe a little bit more than just for beginners, but I think everybody will appreciate this, and I will see all of you guys in the next video. Take care.